So I made a similar design for a client and he took home $12,000 in gross revenue. From that, he took around 5K into total profit. I charge around $275 for a design similar to this. And in today's video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to make this design for your clothing brand. Line work / logo process, textures, and also how to make these mockups to send to your manufacturer. Let's get straight into it. Off the bat, the brand name is called Holster Studios. We got here the camo print and then a reference image for the logos we're going to be making for the design. I used Midjourney to generate the image that we're going to be using for the camo print. This is going to be the first font we're using. It just reminds me of the Marlboro packaging design, which fits the brand style aesthetic perfectly. And if you don't already know, we're going for that old rodeo / cowboy western southern look. Let's go ahead and start by introducing the pen tool. From here, we just want to make anchor points at the key points of this crest. From here, let's go ahead and add some stroke to that and remove the fill, and then grab the curve pen tool to add these curves in that are on the crest. So up here, we can add a curve tool there, one here, and then one going outwards like so, to just make that shape. And essentially, this is how you create shapes for logos in Illustrator in the most effective manner, rather than keep drawing in and adding in a bunch of unnecessary anchor points. All we need to do is make one side of it and then just drag it out and make a duplicate. After we make the duplicate, we just have to connect the points. Simply make a duplicate. Once you've made that duplicate, go ahead and press transform, reflect, and then reflect on a vertical axis at a 90-degree angle, because that's going to create a perfect mirror reflection to the other side. From there, you just got to line it up and then start connecting the anchor points by simply selecting 2 anchor points and selecting join. Once that's done, you can select the whole shape, go into the stroke settings and click the bevel join and rounded corners, because that's just going to give your design a nicer, fuller look. If you want your designs to look a bit more professional, go ahead and clean up your lines. Press Command Y to go into wireframe mode, and you can go ahead and get rid of one anchor point. But before you do that, I want you to go ahead and drag out a guideline from the ruler, put it roughly within the middle, and then get rid of that extra guideline and put the other one in the middle to make the shape look a bit more finished in a traditional realm, and just repeat that for the bottom. Now, essentially, these are the fundamentals into understanding how to make proper logos within Illustrator, thus teaching you guys line work. But that just being the fundamental steps, let's go ahead and actually make this design look more complete. The first thing you guys are going to want to do is make a duplicate of your already made design in case you want to go back to that line work, and then go up to object and then expand. Using the shape builder tool, we can go ahead and fill in the center. Once we've filled in that center, we're going to want to go ahead and go to object, path, offset path, and put -5 here. Once we put that -5, we're going to create that essential border on the outside simply by using a shape builder again on these 2 sections right here. Shape builder and then delete like so. But funny enough, you didn't even have to do that. You just had to get rid of the original fill and you would have got the same look. I don't know why I use a shape builder. I was just being extra. From here, I want to create that divided look on the original crest, just to give it that roadside, I guess, signage look, where it's like the title on top and then numbers on the bottom of some sort. By using this rectangle here, we can go ahead and use it as a guide to get rid or make a shape on the top part. So the next essential step is to introduce our wording / typography. I'm going to be using Holster in that font that we talked about originally, and I'm just going to make it all caps. From here, I'm going to size it so it fits within that crest area. This could be a portion of your brand name or abbreviation, just something that fits perfectly within this section that's not too small if you scale it down. Now, just dragging across without holding shift or anything on my keyboard, I can make a warp so it fits perfectly within this section. Next, I want to go ahead and grab the star tool, and then holding shift on the star tool, I can make a perfect little star that fits nicely within that area. Now, this is a perfect sign. All that's left is just to add some numbers. Now, the font we're going to be using is called Coda Heavy, and all we have to do is press 555. And once we have our font ready, let's make a duplicate of that in case we want to go back and then create an outline. From here, just drag it out so it fits within the area. And to me, this looks super sick. I've changed the color to the same color as the Illustrator default background so I can see what I'm doing. Using the shape builder and grabbing a bright color, we can make it official by cutting out these 555s out of this original shape we have at the bottom and then getting rid of that excess one. Now the design is complete. Now all the logos have the exact same process, so I'm going to go speed running through these, but just pointing out the key elements or if I do something new. So for design 2, we're going to go ahead and use this shape. I just think this is a classic shape for these sort of motocrossing logos. This is the font we're going to be using to start off the logo. Next, I'm going to show you guys how to make wings. So the first thing you want to do is drag out a rectangle. Then you want to drag it on top and then press Command D to repeat that step. From here, I want you to select all 3 or 4 of these designs and make sure they're aligned. Lastly, I want you to go ahead and draw in a shape that's going upwards or in the trajectory of what a wing would look like, and then use the shape builder tool to select the outside of those shapes. Get rid of the excess by selecting them with direct selection tool and then pressing Command D, and now you've made wings for a logo / type. And this is a very quick way of making these sort of wings. Obviously you can go ahead and make crazy ones and custom ones, but this is just a nice quick way of doing it. To finish up the design, I went ahead and changed the Top Studios logo into this font because it just suits a bit better, and the contrasting logo towards the typography gives it a more complete actual design look. Now for the third design, I'm going to start with a guideline so I have perfect symmetry because it's going to be needed for this design. Next, I'm going to go ahead and create this sort of weird rectangular triangular shape of some sort and add a stroke to that. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the curve pen tool and add a bit of a curve here, and then I'm going to duplicate that onto the other side. Once I make that duplicate, I'm going to go ahead and drag it over here and make another duplicate of the whole shape, and then use a shape builder tool to build that into a shape in itself. Once that's complete, I can go ahead and make a duplicate of this shape and put it at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and make another duplicate of this shape, but this time we're going to put it on its side and align it with this shape using the align tools in the properties panel. Just selecting the middle shape, we can go ahead and add an offset path to that one because we're going to add our text into this. Now we can finally make the 2 original shapes into one big shape, and let's go ahead and get rid of this stroke because it's no longer needed. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab our font. Simply go ahead and make a duplicate of your font and press create outline, and then do not ungroup it. I don't know why I ungrouped it originally. I want you to go ahead and send this to the back. Bringing it all together, we can go ahead and go into object, envelope, distort, and make with top object. And make sure you have both the typography and also the green shape selected, or whatever color your shape is. To make it look a bit more complete, we're going to go ahead and add an offset and get rid of that middle or original shape that we had, and bam, we have a design coming together. Let's go ahead and make this all one color and then add in one more element from the Speed Racer vector pack just to finish off this design. Last thing I wanted to add was this 55 using Varsity Team Bold as the font. And then from here, I simply just continued the same design language like we've been doing with the rest of the designs. Now let's go ahead and start working on this pattern. For this pattern, we're going to have to get some elements from the actual trees and barks, but we're not going to go through Photoshop. I'm going to show you guys how to do that within Illustrator. So using the pen tool, you can roughly trace around these shapes. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can actually be a lot messier than you think. You actually want it to be messy actually. And after you have it selected, you can go ahead and go up to Object and then make clipping mask, or you can just right click and make clipping mask if that option is right there for you. So once you have that clipping mask, I want you to repeat that for other elements because we're going to place it around the actual cube. So once we make our pattern, it looks more like a complete pattern. So once you have your elements, I want you to go ahead and place these around the perfectly cut out cube, because a pattern is meant to repeat objects / shapes. So if it repeats just a rectangular square, that repetition is not going to look like a professional pattern that's continuing on. So adding these elements around the corners to disguise, I guess, how the box is cut out of the image is going to allow your pattern to look more full. So once you have your image placed around how you want them, I want you to select everything and I want you to expand it or rasterize the image. So you want to turn it into an official image because that's going to allow you to go up into Windows, press image trace, and then use the image trace tool to officially make this a vector, camo, or wood, or what would you call it, tree sort of pattern. So once you hit preview, this is what it's going to look like. So you can go ahead and copy my settings. I'm going to leave them up here for you and just go through these settings and make sure they're the same. Obviously you can add more colors if you want, but I find adding more colors requires more RAM/GPU usage from your computer, thus making it hard to render on a bunch of clothes/projects. Essentially, you've done all the hard work now. All you have to do is go to Object, Pattern, and then Pattern Make, and you have your pattern start to come to life. Now within Illustrator, you can go ahead and size the actual tile that we've made originally to make your pattern. And with the opacity, you can go ahead and see the pattern that's being made using what we've put together. And it's a continuous pattern rather than it looks like just a random cut off square, which means that we've completed a successful pattern for your shirts, t-shirts, hats, whatever you want. Before we start mocking up our actual designs regarding the sweatsuit mockup, let's go ahead and add some textures on our logos because they look a bit plain at the moment. So let's go ahead and add some bedazzle. So the first thing you want to do is just open a new Photoshop artboard, 2000 by 2000 pixels at a 300 dpi, and then start copying in all your designs. I'm going to start off with this 55 because it's the biggest and it allows you guys to see the textures properly. In Photoshop, we can go ahead and add in our texture. I got this texture from Texture Labs, by the way, if you guys were wondering. And let's go ahead and set our artboard to white so we can actually grab a good cutout of this texture. From here, I want you to add a threshold adjustment layer, and I want you to make it as dark as possible without adding in too much dark spots. And from here, I want you to add a new layer. From here, I want you to go select color range, and I want you to go into the selection panel and select the shadows. I want you to drop down the fuzziness all the way just to around 24 to 16, and I want you to make sure it's selected completely on black only. Now on the original layer we made on our logo, we can grab a paint bucket tool and fill that layer in with black. Thus, it's going to cut out the actual image from our logo, making our design come to life like so. All you have to do is repeat this process for all our logos and then import them back into Illustrator for the mockups. Now in the Design by Will Pro Pack, I'm going to go ahead and grab the no hem hoodie and also these luxury sort of straight leg sweats. Once we've done that, we can simply just select the color layer for the hoodie, and that's in your layers panel, by the way, or you can use the direct selection and then just grab the eyedropper and select the camo print. Now, as you can see here, the camo print is not the color that we currently want. So I'm going to show you guys quickly how to change the color within Illustrator using Edit Color feature. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how to recolor your artwork using swatches. So I've got some colors here that I want the tone of the image to look like, or the tone of our pattern to look like. Once we have that, I want you to go to Edit, Color, and then Recolor Artwork. From here, you can get the color theme picker and select that theme, which is going to grab the hue/saturation of those colors that we have or the swatches that we've made, and it's going to adjust those colors for you. Next, all you have to do is just select that new pattern with the new colors and you're done. All we have to do now is create some color blocking within the hoodie. The way we're going to be doing that is using my new favorite tool, which is, what's it called again? The Live Paint Selection tool, which is really amazing. All you have to do is make a duplicate of your line work like you guys see in my layers there. And on the new duplicate, you can go ahead and fill the layers in with your heart's content. So obviously my color blocking style that I'm going with is the sleeves are going to be one color, and then the main body and hoodie is going to be the camo pattern. Essentially, all you have to do now is just place your designs around your hoodie how you guys see fit. I went with this, I guess, jersey style monochromatic look, similar to how Hairstyle Studio has their hoodies and sweatsuits within this regular style. All we've done is added in this camo pattern to add a bit of a unique slash flair to our design. Lastly, for the pants, I'm going to keep these pants black, but I'm also going to add in a stripe. Now, these striped wide leg pants have been going very viral all over Instagram and TikTok because people are going back into that baggier look. So the baggier the pants, the better the fit. And I didn't make these patterns for the pants from scratch. I went ahead and used the Speed Racer vector tool or the Speed Racer vector pack, and then I put the actual asset through Photoshop with the same texture that we have on our logos. From there, I just added it into the mockup and I was done. So let's talk about why this design did so well. One, it's similar to brands such as Hellstar, so he could already ride off that TikTok audience. And from there, he could build slash garner people who are wanting this item. He knew the market, he knew the audience, and he knew what pricing to put it at. And those are three things that are very important. And most people miss that pricing or the marketing step, which will end up making your brand fail. But since you got the perfect ratio of all three, the drop was successful. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I love you guys. Peace.